You're about to sell your house? Well, one thing that realtors don't often talk about with home sellers is the proper way to show a home and seller etiquette. So I do have occasionally people who feel like, okay, well, people are coming to my house. They need to respect my space. They need to, take their shoes off. They need to, make an appointment so many days in advance because I have pets. I have people staying here. I work from home. I have, just a lot of stuff going on. So I need people to appeal to my timeline to come see my house that I'm selling to the public. And then I expect the public to abide by those things and also pay me the full price that I'm asking or come close to my price and sell on my terms. Okay? You are well within your rights to do that as a home seller. But oftentimes I find that especially sellers who haven't sold a home in a while or who have never sold a home lack a little tact and decency and grace when they're selling their home, because ultimately the buyers are a guest in your home who are looking to make a life decision, paying a lot of money in order to buy your sticks and bricks that sit on dirt compared to everything else that they're going to see during their home visits. So let's start with one, seller etiquette. So in Georgia, there are rules on how a seller can sell her home in the manner of, and also federal rules of being discriminatory as to who can see your home. So you cannot discriminate on race, creed, color, national origin, sexual orientation, age, any of that. So if you find yourself, thinking of selling your home and you're like, oh, I'm gonna set up my cameras because you're trying to protect the asset that you have, which you're well within your rights, you do not have the right to discriminate against anyone based on how they look. And I usually have a conversation with my clients about, hey, don't talk to them through the camera because it's creepy. And it's a turnoff. And once you turn creepy to someone, it's a very hard hurdle to get over to bring them back to the table with the same amount of energy and curiosity and motivation to see your house and want to buy it. Another thing is listening devices. In Georgia, there's a one-party rule, meaning that you can record whatever conversations that you are a part of. So, for instance, if you have cameras in your closet because you want to protect your Gucci bags and your Louis bags, right? You can do that. However, the listening part is what's illegal, because in a closet, even if it's your closet, it is considered to be an area of what would normally be private. And so if you were in the closet with the people and you were recording the conversations and making observations, that's completely legal. But if you're not in the space and you're recording audio, that's actually illegal in Georgia. So we just want to keep you safe in that aspect. And the etiquette would be to, one, secure the items that you have in your house. If there's something of sentimental value or value in general, they shouldn't be out on display anyway, because who are you trying to impress? They're in your closet, right? So you should be putting those things up before you go on the market, because you don't want anybody making judgment calls about you about, oh, look how they live. They must have a lot of money. They have 48 Hermes bags, right? No, get rid of that stuff, because they don't need to know about your life in that capacity anyway. But this listening devices, you have to be very careful with that, because people do have the perceived notion that there's privacy, especially like in bathrooms, and it seems like it's a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised what homeowners do. But no audio and visual devices in the restrooms in your house. If there's a place in your house that's considered to be private, like say a closet or a bathroom, for instance, then you should not be ear hustling. And you might say, well, they're in my home. This is my house. I'm responsible. I'm this. But yeah, you need to know the law. In the law, if you are caught, the fines, the headaches, the going to court and all that is not worth it just for you to ear hustle a conversation that was inconsequential anyway, because they made a comment on the color of the house, or they made a comment on the color of your cabinetries or things like that, which has nothing to do with anything really. It's just giving their opinion while they're shopping. You do nothing. You did the same thing when you were buying, right? You were making commentary while you were in houses. Another thing is a seller etiquette. You should not be following the people around the house and being underfoot, because it's uncomfortable. People can't have a free thought of taking in a space themselves. Now, if you're guiding them and saying, hey, look at the waterfall I have, or look at my gardens, or let me take you through, let me remove my dog, which should have already been removed. Let me remove my dog so you can clear the space. I'm going to step outside or whatever. That's fine. But if you're underfoot and you're showing them every aspect of the house, sometimes they don't need to see every aspect on the very first time that they're there. They don't need to make it an hour-long home tour when they're really just there to confirm with what they saw online is true, right? In person, like, okay, I really do like this house. I do enjoy this house, because they typically have other homes to see, not just your home. And it doesn't matter what price point it is. It could be a $200,000 house or a $20 million house. The sellers really should not be there. There's no purpose for you to be there. Let your agent guide them. That's what the agent's job is, either your agent or the buyer's agent. Typically in hiring homes, the listing agent is present, and that's fine. Most listing agents are not going to be underfoot. They're going to show and point out the big things that are in the property that they need to make sure, or demonstrate how to turn the lights on. You know, hey, it comes with a movie theater. Let me show you how to turn the lights on, or TV on. Let me show you how to turn on the pool. And they present the house. It's more of a presentation to that buyer in that high end than it is being underfoot. Which disturbs a lot of people. It doesn't give them space. It doesn't give them an option to like have a thought and express themselves to their agent. So just don't do it. Another thing for seller etiquette that a lot of people don't think about is like anything that is ultra personal to you, your job. If you have guns in your house, make sure they are secured and out of the way. If you have bills out, even where you went to school and college, like all that stuff should not be out. You're selling the house. You're not selling yourself, right? You're selling your house. You're selling the condition that it's in. So get rid of all that personal stuff. Take down your personal photos. If you've got a nice photo, you know, you were a hot chick back in the 70s in Studio 54, and you have a penthouse spread that does not need to be on the wall. Take that stuff down. You can't even photograph that, right? And put it on the internet. Take that stuff down. If you are someone who's very much into hunting and you've got trophy heads all over the place, take all that stuff down. It doesn't help to sell the house. It's not appealing to most people. It doesn't photograph well. So take that stuff down. And that's, like I said, that's part of the seller etiquette. You want to present your home as if it's either a museum or an Airbnb, to where if you have it highly stylized, it still needs to be neutral in taste. Or if the house is, like I say, museum styled, where you have curated pieces and beautiful lighting that help, you know, illuminate spaces of curiosity and delight for people, then that's great too. But you need to take your personal stuff out. And then lastly, I would say for seller etiquette is don't try to chase down the buyer's agent for feedback, especially through the camera, right? People know that they have cameras in the house. People know that they have listening devices in the house, even though you're not supposed to be listening to people. But don't talk to them saying, well, you know, let me know what do you think? Do you want to buy it? Like, don't do that. Most sales are not made at the property. It is a rare day that I actually will write a contract on the kitchen countertop on my laptop, right? It's rare. We usually leave the property, consult with the buyers, you know, have the pros and cons, measure out what's going to work for them, what doesn't, come up with a strategy that we think we can, you know, save money buying the deal, but yet meet the seller's needs. Like, all that's done away from the house. And your agent is going to go and pursue that feedback on your behalf. It doesn't always come easy. It is just as much work getting feedback from agents as it is getting agents to come see the house in the first place. And don't also read into too much body language. Don't read too much into what they even say, because some stuff is just comments like, oh, I don't like this carpet. Doesn't mean they're going to ask you for a $20,000 carpet allowance. They're just making a comment, and they'll end up buying the house with the carpet. And if they change it, they change it. If they don't, they don't. that's not personal to you. So don't feel wounded by people's comments when they're not what your expectations were. I have sold a ton of homes where people didn't like 100% of the property, right? Because they know that there's going to be things that they can change. So don't take it to heart if someone doesn't like your ceiling fans. Don't take it to heart if someone doesn't like your choice of bed linens. It's not personal. They don't know you. They're not going to affect the price of what they're going to offer based on the color of the linens you have. They will, as a home seller, as a home buyer, will look at your condition of your house as to what kind of work they need to do. Do you need to put woodwork in, because you got rotted out windows? Do you need to change the carpet because the carpet is heavily soiled or damaged? Do you have holes in the wall that are bigger than the circumference of a bottle cap? Do you have smells? Do you have a lot of overgrowth? Do you have mold in the house? They're looking for that kind of stuff, right? So that is going to ding you. But don't try to chase them down, because what ends up happening is that you end up getting this sales breath, right? Agents call it commission breath, sellers call it sales breath, or I call it sellers sales breath, because I got to sell. So you put so much effort and angst behind your urgency in trying to sell, where you end up pushing your client off because you come off as desperate, so they'll lowball the heck off of you, and then you get surprised, like, oh my gosh, they came $10,000 below my list price, and you freak out. I'm never going to sell to them. Oh, I knew they weren't going to buy. I don't know. You get emotionally tied to each individual person that comes in, and a lot of people will say, well, that will never be me. That would never happen, Jackie. I'm professional at my job. I know this is sales, and it's not going to be for everyone. No, everyone falls into it, because everyone feels so wounded when someone doesn't like their house that they put their blood, sweat, and tears into over the years, their investment, and they just want them to like it more than you liked it when you bought it, essentially, right? Because you're the one that's leaving it. So anyway, I'm going on, but just have a little bit of tact. And be cordial, give people grace when they walk through your house, because they are guests, and the littlest thing will turn them off. I've had clients that are very particular about the time people come, even when the houses are vacant. They're particular about signs, they're particular about open houses, they're particular about a bunch of different things that absolutely put hurdles in their path to try to sell. Because they're trying to sell their way instead of selling the way that the market is used to, or sell the way that attracts the most people that are going to come, that will pay the highest price and ask for the very least of them in the fastest amount of time. I find that the more that a seller puts hurdles in their own path, they feel comfortable because they're in control, but they ultimately are in control of not selling. They're in control of limiting their buyers. They're in control of being restrictive of the contracts that they get. They're in control of more things that are against them than allowing their agent to help manage the process. And you have a good agent or a bad agent within the first week of going on the market. You already know. And the more you try to control, the more it's like a squeeze of toothpaste. You want to squeeze the toothpaste on the toothbrush, right? But if you squeeze too much, all the toothpaste come out and you can't get it back in the tube, or at least not easily, right? And so you ruin your sale by squeezing too hard. You ruin your sale by trying to choke feedback out of someone when they just say, you know what, it just wasn't for them. They decided on other properties. Nothing wrong with your property. It didn't feel right, or they feel that the price is a little bit off, but they didn't rise to the level of them having interest enough to want to present an offer to you. And let it run, because you only need to sell to one buyer, just the one buyer. So have a little patience, grace, exercise curiosity other than angst, and follow your agent's lead, especially if you have a really good agent, and sell faster and for more money.